It's time for another edition of Coach's Corner with women's basketball coach Matilda Mossman. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Coach's Corner with head coach Matilda Mossman, University of Tulsa women's basketball. And as we review the week, Coach, hey, you come out of the week 2-1 in the league. You can't feel bad about that.
Well, it's not awful. You know, the game with Tulane, we competed really hard. We just got off to a tough start, and then we didn't finish well. And that was the complete opposite against Cincinnati. Against Cincinnati, we got off to a great start, and then we have an even better finish. But against Tulane, I don't know if it was because Colby Morgan, their best player, who was averaging 21, I don't know if it's the fact that she was just making every shot and doing whatever she wanted, and she finished with 30, which in the next game she also had 31, so It wasn't just against us. She's just very capable of scoring. But for whatever reason, that Tulane game, we just couldn't get it all together. We fell behind 9, came back, took a 3-point lead, fell behind by 7, came back within 3, and just couldn't close it out at the end.
Yeah, close game all the way. And as you mentioned, Morgan was just the dominant player of the game. She also had 9 rebounds, but you did not defend as well as you had all year long against them. I think they shot over 50% against you.
They did, shot 53%, and they were averaging, I think, 69 points a game, and ended up scoring 72, which is the most points we've given up in a while. But a lot of that's Colby Morgan. You know, she goes 10 for 15 from the floor, gets to the free throw line, and that was the other thing about the Tulane game. We just couldn't get to the free throw line. They shot 36 free throws, we shot 16, and so it's more about our guards when they try to get in the paint. It's about us finishing with contact and not avoiding contact, and that's something that we've really been stressing lately. But in the Tulane game, obviously, we didn't do a very good job.
But you hit the boards okay, especially on the offensive side. You had 11 offensive rebounds, so you had some opportunities. You just didn't cash in on enough of them, huh?
Yeah, and there was like one possession. We had 3 offensive rebounds on the same possession. We did score on that one, though, but they still out-rebounded us, and, you know, that continues to be an issue. But it's about what lineup we're going with. Are we going with the bigger lineup? Are we going with the smaller lineup? The bigger lineup obviously gives us better rebounding. The smaller lineup gives us better transition, both on offense and defense. So, you know, we've had to go back and forth between big lineup, small lineup, and then mainly it's just about matchups and who we match up against and what we can do. And
there have been a lot of games where you've done a nice job of taking care of the basketball, but this wasn't one of them. This was kind of a sloppy game, Coach. They had 24 turnovers, which is good. Your defense forced that, right, and you had 22 yourself.
Right. Yeah, when you combine for 46 turnovers in a game, that's not a pretty game to watch. So, and some of it was against their press. They picked up in a 1-2-1-1 press, and we struggled against that a little bit, even though we had worked on it in practice. We just couldn't get good movement away from the ball. We put Erica in some bad positions where people were running away from her instead of coming back. And we also had some situations where we'd get the ball on the sideline and pick the ball up, and then, you know, that's an automatic trap. And so we just didn't make some good decisions at times, but we still competed.
One of the pluses I thought out of that game, and seems like she continues to get better, is Rebecca Lusk had 13 for you. And, you know, this young player's no longer a freshman, it doesn't seem like. She's coming along for you.
Well, Rebecca's a really mature kid, and she played on a really good high school team where they had structure and they had discipline, and they played in a lot of big games. You know, they were runner-up in state in 7A in Texas, and that's a big deal her junior year. But she's a big game kind of player. She doesn't do anything flashy. She's just so consistent. And I think that's what has led to most of her success, is that you can just count on her doing the right things day in and day out.
Well, now you lose against Tulane, and again, we mentioned this last week on the show that you had a chance here with 2 home games to make a little bit of hay. So now you've lost the first one. Is there more pressure now on this second game at home against Cincinnati on Saturday?
Well, Cincinnati coming into it is averaging almost 70 points a game, and they had 4 people in double figures, and their 5th player was averaging 9. They just have so many weapons, and so it was really going to be a struggle for us in terms of being able to shut down all their weapons. You know, with Tulane, you're trying to contain Colby. Obviously, we didn't do a very good job of that. But against Cincinnati, their point guard, Anna Owens, is has a lot of bounce to her game. She's very active. The ball's in her hands a lot. And so it came down to, who do we have on our team that we can just specifically guard her and not let her do the things that she wants to do, which led to Morgan Brady getting her first start of the year. And it also led to Morgan playing about 36, 38 minutes in the game. But she totally shut down Anna. Anna ends up going 2 for 17, mainly because Morgan was right there with her every step of the way early. And then when Anna did get some open looks later, she just didn't knock them down, because now she's trying to rush, because, from a scoring, she's a scorer. She has a scorer's mentality, and, she hasn't scored, and that's how she helps her team. And so we totally shut her down. She still gets 10 for the night, but a lot of that's just because she went to the free throw line and made 4 of her 4 free throws. So, great job by Morgan just shutting Anna Owens down.
And not only that, she scores 14 points for you. So she outscores the young lady that she's guarding. That's a pretty big performance for her, isn't it?
It is, and she went 4 for 5 from 3-point range. And she just hit some big shots and played with a lot of moxie. Morgan's a tough kid, and she has spent time in the gym. So you like to see a kid get rewarded for the time she has put in.
And part of that reward, and we mentioned this a couple of shows ago, is the fact that she got a scholarship. She was a former walk-on, so she's earned it, hasn't she?
She has, and I'll go back to the Wichita State game. We go there and we win. Morgan doesn't play in the Wichita State game. We get back, it's an early game, so we're back home by around 8 o'clock, and I had to come back up to the office and print off some things for the Tulane game. And you hear basketball down in the gym, and it's Morgan down there. She made her brother come over and rebound for her, and she's down there getting up shots. She didn't play in the game, but she's preparing herself. And then on Monday, she's upstairs watching film with Coach Foster, watching film on other guys, watching film on other people, because she didn't play in the game. So it's just neat to see a kid be that hungry and that dedicated to getting better and doing what she can to help our team.
Alexis Golden had a good game for you Saturday. What was she doing well?
Well, she had a big 3 early, hit a layup to get things started, and then hit a big 3. And I thought Lex played really well within our offense. She was part of the ball reversals. When we had several situations where all 5 guys would touch the ball, and that's really good offense. And Lex is one of those kids that after all 5 guys touch it and it comes back to you, now there's probably 16 seconds on the shot clock. Go ahead and go make a play. And Lex is one of those kids that can go make a play. That happened for her. It happened for Morgan Brady. It happened for Erica Wakefield. Happened for Rebecca Lusk. I mean, all those kids were really patient in letting things come back to them. So now that we've moved the defense, and now they can go make a play.
And Alexis also had 8 rebounds. Your guards have to rebound, obviously, with the configuration you have, right?
Right, especially with the smaller lineup. When we play Rebecca at a 4, we've got quality 5 players, but that 4 spot has been a tough position for us, and that's not a position that we recruited Rebecca for. But Rebecca's just a hard-nosed kid, and she'll go in there and be physical with other teams' 4 guys. And in the Cincinnati game, their 4-player plays out on the perimeter more, so that allowed Rebecca to play out on the floor. And she's guarding a bigger player, but at least she's not under the basket as much.
Well, and the Hurricane got off to a good start, 20-13 at the end of one period of play, and then in the second it was a wash. So you go into halftime up by 7. Feel pretty good about it at that point against Cincy? Yeah,
I just feel good about the way we started the game. We didn't, second quarter wasn't great. We had some lapses in our scoring. Then we went for 3-minute periods without scoring, and then we kind of got started in the third quarter the same way. We had some lapses in our scoring and didn't shoot the ball particularly well, but we came back in the fourth quarter, shot it well.
And the Hurricane winning it by a final score of 64-51. So you got the split this past week, and you're 2-1, and obviously you'll have some road trips coming up. You'll have to go on the road, but not a bad start for your team, huh?
No, I mean we feel pretty good about where we are right now. I mean, if the season ended today, we're in the top 5 in the conference, and we got a lot of games left to play though.
East Carolina is a very difficult road trip. We'll talk about that. TU is at home on Saturday against Memphis, and we'll discuss that as well as the Hurricane getting ready for the week coming up. We'll have all of that next on Coach's Corner.
Power is excitement. energy, and unrelenting spirit. Its success is realized on the court, and its passion is felt in the hearts of players, coaches, and fans. And it all comes together in a conference known as the American Power for Life.
We're back on Coach's Corner with head coach Matilda Mossman, and this isn't the easiest road trip. No matter whether you tag it with another road game on Saturday, when you go to Greenville, North Carolina, it's hard to get there, and it does become quite a travel day. You play them on Wednesday in Greenville.
Well, the good news is we get to fly there. The bad news is it's hard to get there via commercial aircraft. You fly into Raleigh, and then you have to bus to Greenville, which is about an hour and a half. And the worst part is we're missing 3 days of class because it's such a long travel to get there. And then you can't get home Wednesday after the game, so you have to leave at 5 in the morning on Thursday and get back home. And so that makes it tough on our players because it's the first week of school, and they're going to miss their Tuesday, Thursday classes this week, and it's not their fault. But I know we have some understanding professors on campus, and they're going to work with them, and so it'll all be good. But just not even thinking about the travel, just playing East Carolina itself, it's always tough. They've got a lot of new people, and people that we didn't see last year. They play a very up-tempo defensive style that really get after you and make it hard for you to get comfortable offensively.
Yeah, and your team is 8-8. They're 8-8. The difference is your team is 2-1. The Hurricane 2-1. They're 0-3. So they will have a bit of desperation at home, I would suspect.
Well, they've played Cincinnati, who's we saw the other night. It's a very good team. They've played UConn. And then they lost to Memphis just the other day. Just didn't shoot the ball well. So it's in our league, it's about who you've played so far, and one of their losses is to the #1 team in the country.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you get back home on Saturday after the trip to Greenville. You get back home on Saturday against Memphis for a noon start. And obviously Memphis is a team that just beat East Carolina, so they're starting to play better.
They are. They've had some injuries they've had to deal with. Their roster is kind of thin right now, but they're led by Cheyenne Creighton and Bria Elmore. One's a post, one's a guard. Those guys give them a really good 1-2 punch.
So we will see you here at noon at the Reynolds Center for TU taking on Memphis. You've got to feel a little bit better about your team and where you are, and with everybody finally healthy and everybody kind of all together, are you feeling pretty positive about the way things are going?
I am. It's we've used some different combinations. We've finished games with different people on the floor, and I think that says a lot about our depth. And a lot of that has just been dependent on what the matchups are and how we match up best. And sometimes it's a group gets in there and they give you a lift, and so you don't want to mess with that rotation. But I think we are getting a little bit more settled into kind of our rotation and who we need to have on the floor and who we need to have on the floor together.
Coach, have a good week. Travel safe. We'll see you back here.
I'll look forward to it. Thanks.
The head coach of the Golden Hurricane, Matilda Mossman, and that is Coach's Corner.